Well, hi, moms. And today we're talking about resources for the topic of the family office. And first, I should explain that a family office, when I use that expression, I'm talking about employing some business principles in your family. I'm not talking about wealthy families who have family offices. So let me just clarify that. And there's a benefit to applying some business principles into your family. And just like you would with a company, it's helpful to have a vision statement for your family. What do you want to be about? We are now 35 years into the raising of our family. They're all grown up. And so we can see the long-term benefit to thinking like this. Let me explain. So leadership is all about having a vision for your family. Where do you want to be in 20 years? Have that conversation with your spouse. Those are hard questions to answer, but they're well worth thinking about. And often when you have a vision for your family, it starts coming from your values. What do you really care about? Do you want your children to grow up, to love God, to be a part of a church community? Put that down. Write down your values. And then, based on your values, you can come up with a mission statement that says, our family is, and fill in the blanks. So I'm going to share a story with you because once you have that in place, it affects your behaviors in the family. So here's the story I'm going to share. This says Reeb Family Values 2018, but we actually wrote them out in 2002, so 20 years ago, when our kids were little. We sat by the bonfire one night and it wasn't complicated. We kind of said, hey guys, in our family, what's working and what's not working? Okay, that's not rocket science, right? And then we came up with 5 values. After we had that conversation and we identified some areas, along with the kids, we came up with these values and they gave us tracks to run on. And so then we were able to, much like you do in a business where you have a working model for what kind of business you want to have, you set some goals, you revisit it in 3 months and you say, how are we doing with our goals? You maybe have to talk to an employee who needs some encouragement, needs some training, needs some reprimand, whatever it is. And much like running a business, we do that with our children, don't we? So our top values were, we wanted it to be Jesus followers. That was our number 1. So think about the behavior that goes with that. We'll come back to that. We wanted love in action, spending time with each other, serving each other, generous with each other. That affected the behavior of how are we going to talk to each other in our family? Are the children allowed to call each other names? Just a basic question. Value 3 was together memories. So let's combine being Jesus followers with together memories. So we had friends who had, every family has a different set of values, and that's what's so fun because you get to pick yours. And under the umbrella of what God's Word says and with a Christian worldview, you can come up with all sorts of creative, wonderful ways to do this thing called family. So our friends, they really wanted their kids to excel in sports. And so they were on all sorts of weekend sports teams, travel teams. I'd be at an event and I'd hear from the mom and she'd say, oh, I just got a call from my husband and so just scored and they're up 6-2. And her husband was up in Virginia and she was in North Carolina. And so when our kids talked about doing travel teams, we kind of said, okay. Travel teams means you won't be at church on Sundays because you'll be gone. Dad and I'll be split up, so that's not really our together memories thing where we're all chasing our tails and going 18 different directions. So you can see how our values started giving us yeses and nos, a framework to hang our family decisions on. And so this little sheet of paper, the 2002 version, hung on our fridge. It was just up there. And you get 80% of the benefit from 20% of the work of just doing as simple a thing as making a little one-pager of your family values. We wanted to be people who celebrate individual interests. That was number 3. 4, we realized we were a family of unique individuals, so we wanted to take the time to really understand who each person was. What were our strengths? What were our spiritual gifts? What was our Myers-Briggs personality? So obviously we didn't do all of that when the kids were wee tiny, but as we went along, because we knew that each child and each person in the family was made in the image of God, we wanted to be attuned to that and have it be part of our conversations. And then enthusiasm was number 5. And that probably sounds a little strange, but we wanted to bring a positive, constructive attitude to our family from each family member. So the behavior that went with that was we realized, okay, well then we have to manage some inputs into our family. What kind of stuff are we going to read? What kind of music are we going to listen to? What kind of TV shows? How much screen time? All those decisions came under the umbrella of the vision that we had for our family based on our family values that the kids bought in on, and we had a conversation about it, starting with what's working and what's not working. And so I hope that's helpful to you. Every family does differently, and so I just felt like it was important for me to share this little snapshot of some of the things we did. There's no such thing as a perfect family. There's no such thing as a formula for a family. But God's word is pretty explicit on some things. And when you really want a family that has Christian characteristics, gets to know and love and serve God and others, it's worth writing some stuff down and thinking about, how does this impact us? What are our behaviors going to be based on our values? And so start small. Pick one. This is my suggestion. Pick a value. Think about what you'll choose in your family at this season of your life with your children. Make sure it's simple and sustainable. Don't get too heroic all at once. And don't try to do 10 different things all at once. Start small. But give this some thought, pray about it, talk about it with your spouse, and I think you'll really find it to be a huge blessing in your family.